Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Micheal Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show. Woohoo!
Woohoo! I'm so tempted to go, oh well, one more time for old time's sake. If you've ever wanted more happiness and joy in your life, then do we have the Slap Happy Show for you. Today we'll be talking about raising your vibes, getting happier, bringing out your inner smile, and cranking up the laughter, or at least not the tears, for the holiday time of year. That plus we'll talk about the power of emotion code, tapping the blues away, more vegan baking surprises, what you don't want to do first thing in the morning, using music as medicine, our Shine Bright plan to take over the world, and how you can get twice the Micheal at half the price.
Okay.
So welcome to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine.
Woohoo!
So it's a Black Friday sale on Micheal, huh?
It does appear to be that way right now. So we've done a few fun things. First, we've got the USB, which is going gangbusters, and
Cool.
that'll be on sale through the holidays, special for Black Friday, but it'll be on sale for the holidays. And we've also done something kind of cool. And by the time people are listening to this, it may be by waitlist only. I'm not sure. But we've kind of slashed Michael's coaching prices temporarily
Yeah,
so that I
wow.
can get a bunch of people in and just do a bunch of work with people for the holidays to help people get started for a fantastic 2017. So it's kind of my way to give back. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the coaching this time of year because I think we can make the biggest gains. And so Jessica said, why not go for it? So we've got all over our website,
Yay.
50% off coaching temporarily. And I thought about that. I'm like, that is twice the Michael at half the
You
price.
are twice Micheal, half the price. As a coach, what I have to say is that I think it's actually a perfect time for folks because as you're moving into the new year, I did this one interview with Don Miguel Juarez Jr., and he had said, I just think of the new year as waking up as a brand new baby. And it's like your first fresh pair of eyes for the new year. And if you can get ahead of that a little bit in December and get clear with what you want to have happen in your next year and get super, super clear with coaching, I think it's just like you're setting up, for this perfect uh, calendar year to begin. I think it's in terms of manifesting stuff. I think it's really quite nice to do that.
I, I couldn't agree more. And I'm thinking back of last year where Jessica and I are like, okay, this is the year, meaning 2016. We're going to get our health, really get our health back.
Mm-hmm.
And when we became very clear about that, we didn't wait to January 1st to join the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We joined the week before that so
Mm-hmm.
that we could build some momentum and get some systems in place. And then when it comes to, it seems like a lot of people start something on January 1st and they fade out 2 or 3 weeks in because there was some stick to it by having done it before the new year actually began, that
Mm-hmm.
pre-planning, that building of the foundation. Now it's not one of those New Year's resolutions that's just going to fall away, but we've already put a habit into place
Yeah.
and we took off from there. And so I'm a strong believer in you get a running start before the new year.
The in Chinese New Year, which is in February,
Mhm.
they often say so the Chinese actually have a theme that happens. So at your day of birth, you are certain one of the five elements, and then what happens is each year you get to live in the expression of that attitude. So like my first year for me was water, and then it was like wood and fire and so on. And what they say is that you start expressing your your element for the next year right around now, like November, October, November, December, January, February. Like you start shifting what your expression will be and what your life path is for that year right around now. So it's kind of, I think if you can wrap your head around what those things are, it's pretty helpful. Like mine, I think was young wood, and so now my this year is all about wood, like
Oh,
strong,
cool.
yeah, wood. So it's going to be probably as you can imagine, wood is about growing and like go, 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 like that kind of a kind of year. So and I think, what's interesting is I can look at the leading up to that point and say, yeah, I'm actually at that point, right? You've seen me like take 4 jobs, leave 3, start another thing. It's
Spite
about
insanity, yes.
it's about growing, right? It's about trying and a whole bunch of different things. But this year is about, at a certain point, the young tree turns into a mature tree and is about growing from that place. And so I do think that this is right around the time when those kind of expressions show up,
I
according to
like that.
Chinese
I
medicine.
I totally like that, and there's several things that occurred to me from that. One is then how important it is to gain some clarity and some focus for the new year before the new year, because if you're completely spun out by the holiday time period, this kind of, we've just passed Thanksgiving, we're kind of in limbo land here. If we don't use that time to help get clear on who we are, what we're going to be in this new year, then we kind of start it in this kind of nebulous kind of place. It's not as much better for clarity now so that we know what the diving board is we're going to spring off of into the new
Yeah.
year.
Like if I were to use my own personal experience, what happens when you actually it's this woman called Jean Hainer. She does this whole face reading Chinese whatever astrology, but it's not like the zodiac astrology. It's something quite different. But what she says is, I think my own experience is once I get those readings, what happens is I'm more conscious of what's happening because there is a shift that starts occurring right now, and you don't know exactly what's happening. So it feels like, what's happening? I'm feeling all discombobulated. Well, that's because you're going through a shift because something is about to change, but you don't really know. You just know. It's just like when we were having our show during the fall season, that shift from summer to fall. There's this little bit of shift, but I think if you listen back to all of our shows during the summer to fall transition, there's this kind of like, like a, I'm having problems with letting go. But I think the same kind of thing
Surrender,
happens.
quick,
Yeah,
surrender.
exactly. But then like now I'm kind of like, all right, I'm there. And then again, it's like that process where there's a feeling of discombobulation, but if you can get ahead of it, be conscious of it, know it, then it kind of just goes more easily. You can be more intentional and conscious of the changes versus kind of at confusion and disarray. Anyways, that was
Well,
a
no,
long story.
that's all right. It fits in with the second piece of what you were saying that I wanted to
Yeah.
bring up, which goes to one of the things I said, our Shine Bright plan to take over the world. I have this feeling for the new year. I don't know based on Chinese element, but the word that comes to my mind is alignment.
Mm,
So we've had all these beautiful pieces of the puzzle we worked on, whether that's coaching, whether that's USB, whatever we're working on, the gratitude book, all of these different pieces, our podcast launch accelerator, they're all beautiful elements. But what we haven't done is try to figure out how to bring them all into alignment with each other. And
mm,
I feel this coming year is about having everything in complete and total sync. That's what it feels like
mm,
to me. And
mm-hmm,
so when I put my overarching theme of what's coming for this year, it's shine bright, helping
mm,
people to discover the gifts that they came here with
mm-hmm,
and figure out how to use them during the time we have here.
mm-hmm,
And so we have our beautiful gratitude book, which I actually about a week ago said, you're going to be book number 2.
mm,
Moved gratitude to the side. It's really strange to even say that. And I'm putting together a Shine Bright book to
mm,
help people to crank up their inner flame for the new year, figure out again what their passions are, what their gifts are, help give them a plan, and look at the pieces of the puzzle that Jessica and I have used to get ourselves here. And so we're
mm,
bringing everything into alignment for ourselves, for our readers, for our listening, for our coaching clients. That to
mm-hmm.
me is super exciting because everything then resonates with everything else. So whether that is a book that you're helping people with, or the focus of the show, or courses that we teach later on, anything is all different different iterations, different elements of the same beast, so that you're not spreading yourself too thin, but everything works together as a whole.
Right. There's a theme in the arc of your life. Yeah. My
Shine bright.
yeah. So is that yours ones for the next coming year? Do you think like if yours
Oh,
was get healthy for this year, do you feel like your next year one is shine bright?
well, shine bright is certainly, I think that's for all of us. For
Right.
myself, alignment, alignment, alignment. I
Okay. Got it.
always talk about if you're not successful at something, if you're struggling in life, chances are you're much closer to success than you think. Chances are you're just 1 degree off. If
Mm,
you think of gears in a Swiss watch, if you think of gears in a car, or if you can picture like a Big Ben or something in the inside of it, if your cogs are just 1 degree off, 1 gear off, it will shred each other apart as it tries to go through the gears. If you instead go right into that groove and kind of sink into it where you're notched in exactly where you're supposed to be, just 1 degree difference, everything moves smoothly, easily. If you're in a car, you take off like a rocket just by shifting a tiny little bit. And
I
so for this coming year, it's getting ourselves in perfect alignment and then helping others get in that alignment
right.
too.
Right. Got it. So that's yours is alignment, but that's different.
Yes.
And shine bright is what I'm understanding is it's about shining, getting a sense of what your greatest strengths are, and then aligning to them. Is that what the idea is?
Getting in touch with your grading straits, aligning with them, have a plan, have a goal. What are all of your pieces to get you there? And this includes things like spirituality, health, exercise, diet, sleeping habits, meditation, journaling, all of the tools that we use, nature time, that are helping us because we are doing something. I guess today is 443 shows in. We've
Hmm.
been doing something incredibly special, and we've had to use our own system to do that.
Right.
And so we want to share that with other people, not so people can be hyper productive. While we are that right now, that's not the goal. But the goal is whether you're here another day, week, month, year, many decades to come, we all came with, like we talked about last week, a gift wrapped around our hearts.
Hmm.
I think our job is to be able to discover the gift, unwrap it, and do something with it.
Hmm.
And so when I say to shine bright, I say that you are shining at your brightest when you're doing something with the gift you came here with. And so we want to give people the toolbox and the formula to make it very easy step by step to help people crank up their own inner flame, discover it, use it, thrive in it, and be happy.
Mm.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Woohoo! It's funny this year. I'm thinking. I was just as you're talking about alignment. I was thinking, what is my theme for the next year? And it's funny because it really. I just went to. I think I told you I went to. I was going to a Dr. Joe weekend, which I
Yeah.
did last weekend, and and even before that workshop, I had met with a gal, a psychic, and she had said, and even before that, I think probably a month ago, I met with a psychic and she said, there's something about your heart not being open. And I thought, what? And then I thought about my,
Completely cracked
yeah.
open is what you were probably
No,
thinking.
I was like, wow. Like, and then, but I thought about Mike, oh, she's right. Like, I'm protecting a portion of my heart. And then in the Dr. Joe workshop, my goal was to start figuring out what that was and kind of figuring out how to open it up even more. And as I was talking to a woman right before the workshop, she said, I'm sensing that what's happening for you is an awakening of the heart. And I tuned in. I'm like, oh, you're right. And so I went to the Dr. Joe workshop, and it was almost every single meditation was some type of heart healing or parts of my heart that were traumatized, hurt, or whatever that were kind of coming up. And sometimes there were, minor to, not gigantic ones. Like I guess I don't know how to categorize this, but my cousin died very early, like in his 40s. And that really hurt my heart. And I had an opportunity to talk to him, but I was not really close to him, so I didn't really call him up before his death. And I really regret doing that. And so that hurt my heart. And that was something that came up during the meditation that you don't even realize is in there until you take the time to focus on it. Um,
Have you done any emotion code work? Emotion code, it is absolutely, I've got it right here, one of the most brilliant and I think important reads out there.
hmm
So it is a way of getting at emotional blocks and scarring and what are called heart walls, blocks of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, emotions that we've trapped in our body from traumatic events in the past.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
And yeah, and traumatic events can be like you described. They can be, even if we're a little kid and our parent says no and slaps us on the hand or something, that can be a traumatic event, or they can be huge, massive events. And we've been using this twice a day, every day right now. We used it last year, which really helped Jessica when she was coming back from mold toxicity and getting her body back online because her body was really emotionally shut down. The body had so many protective mechanisms going on. And now we just interviewed Dr. Bradley Nelson again last week, and we're going, a week and a half ago, and going, why haven't we been using this again? It was so
Mm.
powerful last year. And what it does in simplistic terms is you get permission from the person you're working on, or you do it on yourself, and you can ask, do you have a blocked emotion that we
Mm.
can work on? Or do we have, and in your case, it sounds like you have a heart wall,
Mm-hmm.
basically a wall put up based on a specific event to protect your heart, which kind of closes everything down.
Mm-hmm.
And we could even go after that if you wanted to. Not that I'm an expert at this, but we don't have to. But you can do this yourself. It's very simple to do, to go after and remove the heart wall.
Mm.
And so we've been doing it on Jessica twice a day. We've been doing it on me. You can actually do it. He discovered early on in the process you can do it with animals as well.
Mm.
And so we've been going after, because both of our cats were feral rescue cats, so they have a lot of wiring to work on as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been working on their wiring.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Well, I'm up for it if it's easy. I don't know. I don't want to divert the show too much from what
We
you
will.
do.
It's like a 2 minute process.
Okay. All
So
right. I'll do
we'll
it.
do it, and whether it works or not with you, I'm such a newbie to this. I claim to be about zero level expertise. On 0 to 100, I'm a open vessel, empty cup.
Okay.
So let's do this. All right. Do I have permission to work on you?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So the first thing is you ask for permission, and then you use muscle testing for this.
Okay, I
And
can
so
do
I'm going to
that.
muscle test, and I'm going to ask, and I'll answer with my own muscle testing
Okay.
here. Do you have an emotion block we can work on? No. Do you have a heart wall we should work on? Yes.
Yep,
And
I
you
have
kind of
to.
take it one step at a
Yep.
time. The heart walls typically come before working on a stuck or blocked emotion.
Okay,
So
got
we
it.
have a heart wall. Can I work on this heart wall? Yes. And I've got my fingers looping together, and I kind of get
Right, I'm
that.
doing a validation too. Yep.
Okay. And then I ask, is this heart wall in column A or column B on a particular chart? And you don't even have to know what's on that. I don't know what's on that until I go and look at it.
Okay.
So is it column A?
No, it's
Is it
column
column B?
B. Column B.
So I get column B.
Yep.
Then I get, is it odd? I get a yes. Or is it even? I get a no.
Yep, me too. Yep.
So then is it a 1? Is it a 3? I get a yes for 3. Is it a 5? No. 1 no, 3 yes, 5 no.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to this chart here, and I'll show everybody for video what this chart looks like. It's on page 222. It's fascinating that we now have a car alarm going off as we are doing this. I think this is somehow appropriate.
That's my heart alarm. What? What? What?
Wow. I wonder if that'll actually pick up with the microphone or not. It doesn't look like it is. I know it picks up on your microphone though, so for YouTube, everybody will be catching this.
That's funny.
Stand clear of the heart.
You are
Stand
breaking
clear
into the
of the heart.
car. Exactly.
This is fascinating. I think it's actually our car, which is interesting. I'm
Wow.
looking at the car, There is nobody buying the car.
That's fascinating.
All right, so we're going to run with it anyway, and who knows how it's going to work with this. So
Number
we
three,
column
B.
A,
No, B.
3.
Wasn't it B?
Nope, nope. I'm pretty sure it was column A. Okay, so the alarm is off. A, B. Was it B? It was B. It was B. Okay. All right. So we have, so I'll show the chart to everybody right here. Don't know if you'll see that or
Yes.
be able to see it in reverse.
Yes, I do.
So it has 5 things listed on it.
Yes.
For row 3, column B, it has confusion, defensiveness, grief, self-abuse, or stubbornness.
Oh, okay. So there's 5 of them?
Yeah, and so I have to ask, is it confusion?
No.
No. Is it, this is my memory, defensiveness?
Yes.
No.
Oh, I get net. Yes.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
okay.
All right. Go ahead.
Is it grief? I get grief.
I get that too.
Is it self-abuse? No. And is it stubbornness? No.
No. So it's
So
grief and I had the one before it.
grief and defensiveness.
Okay.
So, and I just get grief now. I guess I go more, after I get this one, there could be another one and another one and another one.
Okay, I
but
know
I'm
what
getting,
that is. Yep. Okay, I know what it is.
okay, so then I ask, do I need to know what else, anything else about it? And I get a no, probably because you already know what it is.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Would you mind sharing, or should we keep that?
No. Here's what it is. I had a dream yesterday. It was about my son leaving for college and not being ready. We were in the dream. My unconscious was giving me an image of a hotel room with a hotel room outside of it, and us being like, "Oh, this configuration is so weird. I'm not sure exactly what's happening." And then we're trying to catch a flight. We're trying to get out to go catch a flight, and my son has left his shirts that need to be packed in the other room. So I'm running into the other room and I'm throwing the shirts and I'm like, throw these in the bag and we're not ready to go. So it's about, I think, grief about not being ready to go yet for him to fly off and not getting ready. So it's kind of grief around, I think, his leaving and are we ready? You know, as a parent, you're always wondering. So I think that's what it is.
All right, so we're going to go and we're going to remove that. Then we'll tackle defensiveness real
Okay.
briefly. So what we do now is we use kind of Chinese meridians, acupuncture meridians.
Okay.
I'm kind of, since I'm guiding you through this, I'm acting as proxy at the moment.
Okay.
And so I'm going to help you release this. And the simplest way you can do it is with a magnet. It doesn't need to be a powerful Nikken magnet or anything. It can be just a refrigerator magnet. I brought here with me today the kitty magnet.
Okay.
So that we can have the power of the kitty.
Okay.
And I tend to say a prayer to all angels, guides, ascendant masters, people by our side, all light workers, everybody who's here to help us. And you can say a prayer to your inner self, source.
Yeah, I
you don't
usually
even need to say a
like
prayer.
all conscious beings of the light. That's what I usually
Beautiful.
say, yeah.
And then you take your magnet,
Uh-huh.
and if you're doing it on yourself, you run from about your nose up and over. And yes, your fingers are magnetized, so you can certainly run it from your fingers together, from your nose over the back of the head, down the spine, or down the neck,
Okay.
over. And so what we're doing is I'm releasing this heart wall, and I'll do it 10 times to release a heart wall. I think that was 4, 5,
I'll do a crystal.
6. Very nice. 7, 8, 9, 10. And so, because we're not just removing it from your body, we're removing it kind of from your higher self, from your
Okay.
spirit.
Oh, I see. That's
which
why
is
it's going to that. You're tapping on the higher part. Okay.
bingo.
And there is a
So,
meridian here on this part of the head.
so then the question is there anything else we need to work on? We won't, this can continue for a very long period,
We
but
won't. But that's the whole idea.
I get a yes, and I'm just going to shortcut the whole process and say, is it defensiveness?
Yes.
And I get a yes. So you've got a heart wall around defensiveness. So do you know what that is about? Or
Oh,
should
I
we?
think it should. I don't want my son like when as a parent you're not supposed to let your child know that you are sad and like all messed up. You know what I mean? Like it's not good. So you try to defend against that.
I get it. I have to do that with Jessica as I'm being the rock. even though at times I go, wow, this is really challenging right now, but
Right. Yeah.
you must
Yeah.
put on the
You
rock
don't
at
want to.
times.
Yeah. You don't want to have your kid hold on to. That's not their business. That's your business, and they shouldn't own it. That's what it is.
So, do you mind if I remove the heart wall block of defensiveness then?
Yeah, that's fine. So
Okay,
you
so
do
let's do that. Going back with the power of Kitty, and you were describing it
crystals.
as, and all the light workers, what were you calling them?
All conscious beings of the light.
Beautiful.
So we're
So going over
tapping
it
the
10 times.
meridians from third eye all the way back to what part in your head? All the way down to the
I
occipital
go to the
lobe.
neck,
Yeah, to the
and if you're
occipital
doing it on
lobe.
somebody else, you don't have to start on the nose, start on the top of the head and go down to the tailbone.
And is this what you refer to as tapping the blues away?
Well, no, this is emotion code specifically. Tapping the blues away, I tend to do after this
Hmm.
or on its own. So I think we've got eight,
I have
nine,
9.
10. This will look nice and funny on YouTube.
Okay.
And so you can continue down that path as long as you go. When we first did this with Jessica last year, we spent a good 2 solid days working on this, not 24 hours a day, but quite a bit. And now I've just committed to doing it twice in the morning, twice in the evening for as long as it takes to get her cranked up into a great place now, particularly after recent festivities in
Right.
Taiwan and such. And I'm doing it on myself. But then there's also, as we've discussed before, you have emotions that come up throughout the day that are not necessarily emotional blocks. For instance, Jessica goofed this morning, shall we say, and she's been making some amazing baking creations for the holidays. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, for Thanksgiving, she made me this bean casserole that was just
Mm.
divine.
Mm.
Um, and so that was fantastic and a way to express her creativity, which is an intuitive process. You're then connected to something greater than yourself. You feel really good in the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
This morning when she got up, though, she didn't eat some of our fine goodies. She went for the commercial pumpkin pie
Right.
as the first thing that she ate.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went up and crashed right back down.
She's taking a nap now, for example.
So she's it's rough. And so when she came down and hit crash land, it was a can you tap on me? Can you do the Dawson Church, the EFT tapping method? And we won't go through that whole tapping method now, but you can help move past some of the emotional triggers
Right. Yeah.
of that
It's
body
very
crash.
similar in that it's working with your energy meridians to tap out whatever. So you would actually follow this thing up with like an EFT tapping. So you've been doing tapping on the. Is that what you mean by tapping the blues away?
Yes, yes, yes. So that if the emotion comes up with Jessica or myself, we're immediately going into tapping. What tapping does, if I can give the two
I'll
sentence version,
demonstrate while you're doing it so people can see it.
is you go over about 7 or 8 different acupuncture or acupressure points while you're repeating a phrase to yourself, and basically you're short circuiting the amygdala-like or lizard-like brain response of the body that triggers anxiety, fear, depression, basically anything in the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. By short circuiting it, you're letting the body know everything's it's okay and it can drop its guard. And when it does that, if you feel exhausted, you suddenly feel less tired. If
Right.
there's pain in part of your body, now that we get rid of the emotion associated with the pain goes down. If you're feeling sick, you feel better. Maybe not 100% better, but you're stripping away the emotional loading behind things. So you're
Mm-hmm.
reducing the tension on the spring. For Jessica, the points that I go over are above the eyes, just between the eyebrows, to the sides of the eyes,
Mm-hmm.
just beneath the eyes, below the nose, above the mouth, on the chin, centered just about where the clavicle is, what they call the
Right.
thymus. So
It's
thymus
like right
tapping.
here and then to 1 inch to the right and left.
Yep. And then what I say is wings. I get her arms up and just kind of below the armpits on the ribs is get that point as well. Yeah, I call that wings.
Okay.
And I tap that 3 times for myself. It's my own pattern. Tap, 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 7 times times 3 on each one of those points.
Mm-hmm.
While she's repeating a phrase like, I love myself completely and totally, even though I'm afraid because I'm exhausted, even
Mm-hmm.
though I'm afraid because I'm exhausted. And as she repeats that, and you tap, you're basically hitting the reboot on the nervous system.
Yeah, so mine would be, even though I feel defensive about feeling grief about my son leaving for college and not being prepared, I totally and completely love. Mine is, the way I learned it is I totally and completely love, honor, and accept myself. So I'm tapping on the points while I'm saying this phrase so that it kind of short circuits.
Yes,
Got it. Okay, got it. So this is what you guys have been doing. Is this part of your morning routine then? So you wake
this
up,
is.
you do your emotional codes, you do the meridian tapping like this, and then you do the tapping the blues away.
Yeah, and for myself, I'll do my meditation, my gratitude meditation first, some automatic writing,
Mm-hmm.
and she may be doing some journaling as well. And then I come back in and I spend some time doing this, which sounds like a lot of work, but it's amazing how much time we quote lose through the day because
Right.
our emotions are completely out of whack or we're exhausted, which is actually probably because our emotions are out of whack.
Right.
So that when we clear the junk first thing in the day, we're setting ourselves up for more success throughout the day. And with emotion code, we're peeling away layers of the onion. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the more layers you peel away, the lighter and lighter you get as you get it. You're going to get it all sorts of wounds, traumas, not just things from today, things that you were a little kid. And you'll know you're on track when all of a sudden you're bawling and you're going, wait a second, I didn't even remember that event.
Right. Right.
And it's not I don't think it's both either a perfect science and it doesn't need to be because the emotions are there. Whether we figure out the exact event that caused it or not, if we can help strip away that emotion, you feel better, you feel lighter. And
Mm-hmm.
and that I think is important, particularly this time of year, because we're talking about setting ourselves up for success for the new year.
Yeah, and I think actually another thing happens during the holiday season, whether it's Thanksgiving, starting with Thanksgiving, rolling all the way to Christmas, is you have getting together with family or friends, or maybe
Triggers.
yeah, or maybe you don't have any family or friends. Maybe you have several divorces and there's no place to go for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or maybe for whatever reason you have nowhere to go for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and that also brings up a whole bunch of triggers. So, and emotions, right? A sense of loss, and holidays are somehow they're like little times during the year to remind you that you don't have that. They're an absence of something or a filling of something, But I think a lot of emotions come up during that time, and so it's probably good both as a time of transition of going through the full let go, because if fall is parting, letting go,
Yep.
then winter is the time when you say, I have let go and I'm dealing with nothing. I'm dealing with nothingness, a sense of complete emptiness, which I think for a good portion of people can feel really um, scary and untoward, but if you can actually see the emptiness as spaciousness and see the emptiness as opportunity to go into the unknown, and this is from Dr. Joe, when workshop is to look at the unknown as full of possibilities versus feeling empty. But it's like feng shuiing your life. So you've tapped all these emotions away, removed all this layers and layers of shellac that you've put on yourself that prevents you from shining bright, right? Having your
Mhm.
true self shine forward. But if once you do that, there is a sense of emptiness because you've peeled off all this stuff, right? You're peeling all this stuff off. And then there's a sense of emptiness, but if you can end, which I think most of us run away from because we don't like feeling empty, but if you can just reside in that spot and see emptiness as spaciousness and allowing, just like feng shui, new things to grow from that place, it can be winter, and that whole process leading up to it can be kind of a beautiful thing, I think. And then,
This is. I'm not sure I'm going to do it justice. I love what you're saying here,
yeah.
but it's making me think of both Hanukkah and Christmas,
Mm,
and I'll do a better job describing it for Hanukkah probably. I'm thinking of the candles and illuminating the darkness, and what I was taught many years ago about Hanukkah is that it always falls at the darkest time of year. It's basically always around solstice. And the
mm,
story of there wasn't enough oil in the temple to light the candles in the ancient temple in Israel for more than a day, but they lit the candle and it stayed lit, a miracle, for 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
So in the darkness, in the void of the darkest time of year, which is when Christmas falls as well, right around solstice, suddenly we're bringing light to everything. We're kind of
Mm.
filling that void. And so there's something about what you're saying about this stripping away and about this void. The void I think of is the lack of light on the outside. And maybe a good way to put it is by doing this, we're starting to allow the light from the inside to start shining through.
Shining bright. Yeah, no, I actually
Woo!
I have I have a friend that says, think of a candle, right? You have a beautiful candle, and in front of that candle are all these like pieces of tissue paper, right?
I'm
And
going to use a
so
good Buddhist term here, obscuration.
obfuscate, yeah. So they're things, delusions or layers that prevent us from seeing the candle on the inside. And so, really, when you're doing the emotional cold, you're pulling back a layer, you're pulling back a layer, pulling back a layer, and as you pull these layers away, you see that there's a candle, but you can't see the candle because all these layers are kind of in front of it, making the candle less bright.
Mhm.
And so, I think that's another way of describing exactly what you said.
I like it. We've hit it from many different angles
We
here.
have, we have. So, and has music been part of your healing process too?
Yeah, I'm realizing how important it is. We had on, in fact, I think the show is live today, which is Yuval Ron. He's an Oscar award-winning musician,
Mm-hmm.
and Dr. Richard Gold, who's an Oriental medicine specialist. And they both working together on musical attunement,
Mm-hmm.
on creating music that has a beat and different instruments to it that help you get in sync. They're actually doing it with the Chinese elements, which is kind
Oh,
of
that's
cool
very cool.
to help you get in sync and help your anxiety levels go down and the body basically come back to life, the light switch to come back on. And I'm realizing we tend to work, particularly myself, since I'm doing a lot of time editing and reading and such. I tend to go quiet, really quiet, no music on, no anything. And I'm realizing that when I can, if I can interject some music in there, something for me to sync up with, it can help me get to a better, that's a judgment place, but get to a higher emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm realizing the importance of putting music back in. So they talked about in the interview about having gray offices or gray computers or gray cubicles, meaning everything's just flat, fuzzy, out of focus, no spark, no life, no light to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying by interjecting music, and we're talking music as nutrition or music as medicine. So high quality music, not, you got to be careful. And that's one of the things they talked about. We're not talking about rave. We're not talking about music that's oppressive or has a negative message to it. Good quality, uplifting music can really energize your mind, your soul, and literally help your body get cranking again just from the music. So you digest better, literally. You have more energy. And of course, you're going to be able to see the positives more. We all know it when we hear a good song, and like Jessica and I, and we're suddenly dancing in Trader Joe's,
Right.
or I'm so happy that.
Right. Yeah. 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 Right.
So actually using it as medicine. And so
Right.
we're doing that right now this time of the year, particularly when here I can speak to on the East Coast, the Northwest, I'm sure the lack of sunshine. You
If
looked out
I'm
the
looking
window
out
for a
the
second,
window, if you look at it,
rolling
it's
your
just
eyes.
awful. Yeah, it's actually a sunny day here, but it's been oppressively raining every day. But yeah, I think that that's definitely true. Well, it harkens back to the interview that we had either one or two interviews ago. We were talking about Paul Selig, who is I know who I am. I know in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. And those are all attunements, right? So it's about that music, I presume what it's doing is it's moving you from, and if I were to map this, what I learned in Joe Dispenza is that we actually have these three chakras, starting from our root chakra, our stomach
Mhm.
chakra up here. These three chakras are lower vibrations and they are the chakras of survival. And when you move to your heart, the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, when you go into those chakras, those are running at higher vibrations. And so his work, and it sounds like the gentleman who's playing the music, their work is moving you from these like aspects of survival to a higher vibration, as is Paul Selig's mantra, right? I know who I am. I know how I serve. It's like this information uh, of divine presence all around us is there all the time, but we're just not vibrating. We're not. We described it last week as tuned into the radio, and so to me, it seems like the music, tuning forks, bowls, whatever it is, the saying, doing meditations where you're like yoga meditations where you're using the breath as a vehicle. Like they're all ways for you to attune to this higher vibration and out of this reptilian brain to recognize and fully appreciate that there is all this stuff around us. We just can't, even though we can't see it, the vibration is still there and it's still available to us. We just have to believe that when we're listening to the music, this is where faith comes in, right? When we're listening to the music, we're saying the mantra, we're tapping, whatever, because the tapping is about removing all the energetic blocks, right? From feeling that higher vibration, I think, too. So I love it. I love that you're doing that in the morning. I feel so blessed that we have all these tools, frankly. Don't you?
It's cool. We're calling it our Shine Bright Toolkit. We take ownership of none of it, but we can claim it all for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love it. I love it. So, so it sounds like you guys you're rolling into the new year. Like Mike, I didn't even finish where I started off with. So my goal this next year is about awakening the heart. So yours may be alignment. Mine is about awakening the heart, and I know that right now I'm kind of rolling into that place as the next year approaches. I can just feel it.
Yeah, well, and hopefully, Jessica will be okay with me saying it, and if not, we can edit it out. That we're hoping that this is the year where we have our own homestead,
yeah,
and we can look at bringing more Sandlers into the family.
Yes.
So,
oh wow, that's exciting.
So that will be an opening of a heart, and I guess we can call that alignment. But even just saying that just sounds so heady. We'll just go heart on this one is what we're going to do.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So when I was in the Joe Dispenza workshop this weekend, I had a whole bunch of the emotional code types of things. It was done in a different way, where he was having you do breath work and focus your attention, which is your energy, on things in the void, right, where that emptiness and stillness and kind of opening up to the unknown and knowing that when you do that, you get out of your habitual pattern, which is to focus on the known and strive and try to get attached to those things. But if you can just open up to the unknown, what happens is your life is a wild joyride because all sorts of things happen that you don't expect. And I walked in with the intention of I'd like to do some heart opening, if in fact that's a heart awakening, if that's up for me at this point. And at one point, this is deep into, so there's a 3-day meditation. So this is deep into maybe the second part of the second day. And so almost finished, right? You're past the halfway point. And I heard in my head, you're not going to have a heart awakening. Sorry, honey. Like, I just think you have to recognize that this is just about heart healing. This is like a very big, like what you're looking for is something that actually is it's a process, and it happens over time, and it happens over a time when your heart is ready. Like, you can't just go in there with a cleaver and just pull out the 2 open heart surgery. I guess you probably could, and I'm sure people have, but it's probably gentler on the heart to kind of remove things slowly.
We just interviewed Piero Ferrucci on the power of kindness. I love his name, Piero. And what he was saying is forced kindness is not kindness. Forced compassion, doing something for somebody else that could be compassionate, but you're doing it because you feel you have to, or you're going to get something out of it, isn't the thing. And that's exactly what I hear you saying. If I'm going to force my heart open, that's sort of like trying to force a flower open.
Right. Yeah.
Does not work.
Right. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting for my own kind of rolling into the next calendar year. That feels like that's what's up for me this year. So that's kind of exciting. And it's going to be a process, I think. So yeah, it's exciting. Very, very
I love
exciting.
it. And for me, a big piece that I take away from this is I know that I want to get an alignment for this coming year,
Hmm.
and I want everything to be around that. But even the act of saying I want has a giant asterisk by
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
which is I got to go to surrender first.
Right.
So I put out there where I feel things should be for this year, and whatever happens is whatever happens. And I want to get even more at peace with knowing that I'm going to bring my part to the dance. I'll bring my feet to do the tapping, but the music could completely shift and I could be doing some completely different dance. And that's more than okay too, because I always go back to Derek Rydell, who wrote Emergence. This acorn, Michael the acorn, has no idea that I can be an oak. And if I
Hmm.
think I'm going to be this, that, or the other thing, I'm probably going to sell myself short for the new year.
Yeah, or miss maybe it's not even an oak. Maybe it's like an evergreen, and so you're striving to be an oak, and you're not even supposed to be an oak. You're a coniferous tree, not a deciduous. So just for like yeah, just trying to force yourself into a place. If you have extreme faith, then you say the divine has a plan, and if you can have faith that that plan is fantastic and it's there for you, and you just have to move closer and closer toward it by doing nothing aside from just letting go. Like the only thing that you are supposed to do, if there is anything that you're supposed to do, is surrender and let
Mhm.
go and be open to whatever opportunities arise, which even though it sounds crazy this past year where I had 4 jobs, that's exactly what I did. I surrendered and I went into the great unknown and I got 4 different jobs, which is seemingly insane. But I can look back and say, oh my gosh, that was the best part of my life to let go, surrender, feel a little bit of pain, but that pain grew into a huge amount of learning and understanding about what I really wanted. Um, that was good, even though it felt painful at the time.
Well, you did one other piece of the puzzle, which is important. And that's what I keep getting in my automatic writing. It's kind of the two-step dance. You
Hmm.
have to be completely open and surrender. And you have to be, when the ladder is dangled in front of you, you have to grab a hold.
Yeah, say
So
yes.
you can't say, I surrender. I see the ladder. Nope, that's not for me. No, I see that. That's not for me. You grabbed on to each
I did.
opportunity and said, let's see what's there for me.
Right.
So you were the
Despite
man.
any, despite any logical, right? I mean, there was no
Logic has
logical.
to go out the window.
Yeah, I
It
was like,
has
oh,
to.
I don't know why all 4 of these are coming at me at the same time, but I presume it's for some positive good. So I'm going to say yes to all these things, even though my rational, logical mind knows that these are too many things to try to figure out in a short period of time. But if I don't say yes, and I'll never know where this would take me. And it took me to a wonderful place. Like I can say that it was hard, and I don't even think. And it's funny because I've arrived at a certain configuration, and as I was meditating and letting go, I'm like, okay, going to New Year, this may not even be the configuration, and I'm open to that. Whatever actually opens, has. But if I have a desire, it would be to open and awaken my heart and take me wherever else you'd like to go. So we'll see what happens over the course of the next year. But it's
I,
fun. Life can be a fantastic adventure if you are okay with embracing the unknown. And even all the stuff with the upcoming elections, when I was able to just let go of and surrender and say, I don't really know, wonderful things happen. I've had uh, listeners actually really challenge me on the video that we did. Really
mhm.
was they were very unhappy and with the video that I did because and had a lot of judgments about me and people like me that were kind of mourning Hillary's loss, or just I'm not mourning Hillary's loss so much as being scared of Trump's arrival personally. I mean, I want to take politics aside, but for me, that was my emotional response to everything, and people were really mad. And so I've been digging in and writing them like, why are you mad? Like, what's happening? And what's so interesting, when I open my heart and I come from a place of just not knowing anything and openness, I realized that the answers that they were giving me on why they're so scared about Hillary are frankly the same feelings that I feel about Trump. It's just that we are hearing different pieces of information that are shaping our perspectives that are really in ways that are actually not helpful. Like they're creating judgments and coloring. So if you think about the candle, there's like, 1,000 layers of tissue paper in front. And each time I talked to people and I peeled off the tissue paper, I could realize that we're all the same. Like we have the same issues and fears. It's just that we are listening to different media channels that are telling us different things. And so that was just that is the beautiful outcome of the election that I would not have gotten if I hadn't, went into it. So
it's exciting how, if we can step back, how much the challenging times can be periods of such beautiful growth for us. We just have to be like, you're drinking some water right now. We have to be the empty vessel, the empty cup.
Yep.
If the cup's full, it just pours over and we completely miss the opportunity. Going back a couple steps, something that I'm fond of saying, and I certainly can take no ownership of it, which is that you can never fix the problem with the same level that the problem was created in. So if the problem is created by the mind, if I've logicked my way to this point in life, and I've tried the Dickens with my brain for 30, 40, almost 50 years, however many years it is, right, and you've been thinking, and your life still isn't where you hoped it would be, it may be we've got to get out of the mind. And I call it, many people call it little mind, big mind. When we go to heart, when we go to intuition, we're going to something greater than ourselves. We're going, all right, I tried the brain for this many years, and I'm told my brain is sharpest when I'm younger. So clearly I've given all that I've got from the head point of view. It ain't doing it. Well, then I've got to shift and try something else.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I feel like at 52 years, I've already given this other way a really good shot. So, and someone's presenting yet another way of doing it. And I've already tried that other way, and I've had really fun experiences. So I might as well just go for that and explore that for the next 50 years.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.